happy to have you here. Meet your hosts. So both myself and Deborah Lawrence and Victoria host this Workfront Champion Office Hours call, which is monthly and global. So just to introduce myself, I'm Deborah Lawrence. I work for IBM. I have around 8 years experience in Workfront as a whole, previously at Workfront for like 4 years and IBM for around 4 years. But I'm also a recent Adobe champion. So that's a bit about me. Victoria, if you want to.
Of course. Hello, everyone. I'm Victoria Sellers. I currently work at Accenture. I've been implementing Workfront for about 7 years now, and I'm based in the Philadelphia area. And like Deb, also Workfront champion and excited to be hosting these champion office hours monthly. So nice to meet you all.
Cool. Okay, so the agenda, I'm going to be starting off with just going through some Adobe Code of Contact and house rules and how to join our chapter. And then we'll be moving into the main presentation of today, which is very exciting. It's about OpenAI and Workfront Fusion. That should take up about half an hour, and then we should have around half an hour for this Q&A. I just want to really thank the people that have already sent in your questions, because that's really helped us really, gather them. And Victoria's going to go through a few of them today that you've already sent us. And also we've got a chat function, so feel free to ask questions as we go through this presentation as we go, and we'll try to get through as many as we can. This call is 1 hour long, and we will try and get through as many questions as possible. And please try and keep them relevant to this topic rather than any question about anything in Workfront. That would be great. Okay, just to keep you aware, this meeting is being recorded. And so to ensure we're abiding by the Adobe Code of Conduct, we'll need to inform you all that it's being recorded and it will be posted publicly on the Adobe User Group YouTube channel. So if you don't want it to be live or any of that, anything to do with you, you can catch up afterwards. It's no problem. After this call, we are going to be issuing an email to everyone who's registered, and you guys are registered. So you'll receive the recording anyway and any content that goes with this presentation today. Some house rules in order to keep us use-focused and a safe space for us to learn, network, and problem solve. We ask that all attendees follow these rules. So we don't want any self-promotion or pitching of any kind. So no selling anything of your own, please. We'll be muting you or booing you out if we can. So please keep that away from this call. Also, don't contact people outside this meeting without their consent. And if user cases are shared, which they will be today, please don't reshare this information outside. Always get the original owner's consent. So about our chapter, we are both Victoria and I both manage this chapter. Victoria has already pinned it to the chat window, so click on that if you haven't done already. We've got about 103 members, but we would love to have more. So please click on that link and click join. That's all you need to do. And then you won't miss out on any future events that we're doing. We're trying to do them every month and as many as we can to talk about great Adobe Workfront things. So please follow and keep in touch. So Kaylee's here, and I want to introduce the exciting topic. It's OpenAI in Workfront Fusion, easy wins for smarter workflows. So I want to introduce our presenter, who's also an Adobe champion, and it's Kaylee Richard from Toll Brothers. Should I give you the mic?
Yeah, I guess so. Hi, everybody. Super excited to join for the first office hour. Let me just get my screen all shared up with you guys. Okay, can you guys see my slides?
We can.
You can?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Bevvy's weird where you can't see, I can't see you guys, so I'm just trusting. I'm just looking at my slides. Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much for the intro, Deb. Super excited to be here and talk about some exciting topics. So like she said, I work for Toll Brothers, which is a luxury home builder, and I am a marketing operations manager. So I've had about 5 years of experience with Workfront, and I really just want to stress that I am not a developer. So for anyone on this call that's really eager to learn more about Fusion and is not a developer, I hope this is kind of an intro to help you feel like confident that you can get something started within Workfront and Fusion. So how I started with Fusion is I shadowed a Fusion developer. So I'm very lucky that I actually have a developer on my team that I can work with. He's like our website developer and double dips into Fusion and Workfront as well. But I know a lot of other users and customers have consulting hours with Adobe or another consulting firm. So I really strongly encourage you guys to work with those developers and shadow them as much as you can, or have them go over what they've built for you to really start understanding how Fusion works. And then once you've done that, just start building. You really never know unless you try, and you can shadow all day long, but just pick something small or pick something that's maybe even been built already and see if you can recreate it. And to that, Sandbox is your friend. So anything you can set up within Sandbox, you really can't break it, right? So you can try and you can play around. And I just really encourage you guys to just use Sandbox to its fullest extent. And also ChatGPT. So I know that this call today is focused around AI. So lean into those AI tools you have. I know OpenAI is the main focus of today, and that's what my company uses, but other companies out there, you probably have Claude or Copilot or Perplexity or some sort of AI tool. So lean into those tools as well. You can ask it questions all day long. And just go to it and tell it that you want to make a Fusion scenario and what your problem is in Workfront and what you're trying to resolve. And it really can help you with step-by-step, like what modules to set up and how to set them up. It's not always perfect, as we all know with our AI tools, but it's a really great starting spot. And then also just ask your community. So we have this really great community here for the open office hours for the Workfront champions. So I encourage you guys to join the chapter, tell your friends. So you have this group. There's also other user groups. So I also encourage you to check out the Bevy page of all of the other Workfront user groups. I know I'm one of the co-leaders for Philadelphia. So if you're in the greater Philadelphia area, please join us. But there's a lot of other popping up around the country as well. And shout out for Experience League, and just network with the people on this call or in your companies, and you build relationships with people, and you can share and swap ideas. And if you don't know how to do something, somebody else in your community probably does. And just keep building. So once you nail something in Fusion and you figure it out and you probably feel like a wizard, I know that I did, just keep going and see how far you can take it. And now I'm going to be sharing stuff with OpenAI, which seems like a scary and daunting incorporating AI into Fusion, but it's actually more simple than it looks. Okay, so I am going to share my Fusion scenarios live with you guys, but I'm just going to give you a quick intro into our use case and why we built something with OpenAI and Fusion. So at my company, especially within marketing, we've been looking for a lot of low-hanging fruit, per se, processes that we could insert AI into. At my company, we don't have anything yet that's like a full-fledged AI process or an agentic process, but we're looking for bits and pieces where we can input AI and have it speed things along or make us more efficient. Along with that, we are trying to automate as much as possible. So that's where Fusion comes into play. We've done a lot with just Workfront and Fusion this year alone. So now it's time to add AI to the mix. And I also want to mention that Workfront is rolling out AI tools. We have different needs, which I'll get into, but for everyone on this call, if you have not already looked at the roadmap for Workfront, I strongly encourage you to do that. There's some really great things coming out this year, and I'm assuming next year. But I'm pretty sure right now in beta for the AI, if you are approved from your company to use the Workfront AI tools, you can use the AI form fill and the project health. Those are both in beta for testing. So we know that Workfront's going to be rolling out more AI tools coming soon. But that's where it started. And we just wanted to build something more than that, or different than that, I should say. So the first one and the one we use in production every day that I'm going to show you guys is for our copywriters. Copy is kind of one of the low-hanging fruits for AI processes. And at our company, we really want to work with our copywriters and not try to like AI them out of a job, because we do really value, you know, our brand voice and what the customer's reading on our site. But anything that can help them do their job better, that's what we're looking for. So the first scenario I'll show you guys is for event banner. So on tollbrothers.com, we have like different events and different sales promotions, and each community typically has a different offering, which can make it a little complex. So they were going through a manual review in an Excel sheet, which at my company, I kind of say that Excel is like a curse word because we want to put everything in Workfront. But they were using Excel and they were reviewing around 400 different banner messages every time we had a different promotion. And it was super tedious. I mean, Excel's like free form text. So people were misspelling, using acronyms, all of this stuff. So we actually built a brand new Workfront process and we templatized a lot of options. But we also added a custom spot for them to, if one of our marketing managers wanted to write a custom message, and that's where we implemented AI in Fusion. So I'll show you in a minute, but it basically is going to take the text that was entered, pass it through Fusion, run it through an OpenAI module where we have our prompt in there, and then it's going to spit out its proofread and approved copy. And now our copywriter just goes through every time we have an event and spends about 10 minutes just reading over everything one more time and just clicking approve. So it's definitely saved our copywriters a lot of time there. And then I'll give you guys a sneak peek into one of our proof of concept Fusion scenarios that's also leveraging OpenAI. And this is for tagging images with keywords. So just a disclaimer, we don't use AEM. We actually use Sitecore as our DAM. And this year on our roadmap, we're going to be building an integration between Workfront, Fusion, and Sitecore. So this is kind of something we built out on our end. It's not in action yet, but we want to tag that onto the automation to our DAM. But it basically takes the image from Workfront, looks at the image, and then goes through our approved list of keywords and tags it with what it seems applicable. And right now, for the proof of concept sake, it just sends it back to Workfront. But ideally, we'd be passing that information along to Sitecore. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I had to share it weird to share the PowerPoint. But I'm going to stop for a second. Does anyone have any questions before I jump into just sharing Fusion? I know like there's probably a lot more questions for the end, but just on anything quick. Or we can just hold it all till the end. Julie, is Sitecore a bad word? Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to hop in then and share my tabs. Oh. Okay. Okay, can you guys see the event AI proofread? It's really weird in this app.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I can't see what you guys can see, so hopefully it's right. Okay, so this is my first scenario, and I promised it was simple. It's really only 5 modules, and if you really look at it, it's only 4 modules, and one's a error message send. So this is the one that we have for our AI proofreader for our events. I'll show you our request in Workfront too. This is just an example of what we have. So they want to pick a custom incentive message and then they type their message here. And for this demo, I typed something not too great. And this is what people enter. So it's not that outlandish, but I'll show you what it does in Fusion. So the first one is just our watch event. So it's going to be waiting to get a new request that has that custom incentive message selected. So that's the only thing that will run through this. Then it's going to read the request and grab the information. And then here's our OpenAI module. So you guys, if you have OpenAI, like you can do the out-of-the-box module. So the first time you run through it, you just have to set it up with your company's API key. And then you can use all of these different actions that Fusion has with OpenAI. This one's probably the one that's going to be the most popular, creating a chat completion. And so that's what's going to be what you would experience in like regular ChatGPT interface, where you ask it a question and it gives you an answer. And we'll open this up. So in here, you would just pick what model you want to use. And then you'll have two different messages in here. So whatever, you'll have your role, so the system, and that's where you're going to send in the prompt. So it's really just complete natural language prompt. We don't want this AI module to rewrite anything that's been submitted. We really wanted to just follow proofreading rules of checking grammar, checking spelling, capitalizing anything that should be capitalized. And then we have a couple call outs. So if someone uses the letter K for an amount, it'll convert it to a full number. And then if they use any acronyms, I know you guys don't know my company's acronyms, but back on that other screen, it said QMI, which stands for Quick Move in Home. We use it all the time internally, but we're not supposed to use our acronyms externally, as I'm sure most of you guys have at your company. So anytime an acronym is entered, it will expand it to be the full wording. And then we'll send that along with the message that was entered from the request that we got back from this first module. And then it'll run through AI and do the magic. And then it will send back the revised message to the request. So it's going to take what the AI produced and it's going to send it back to the custom incentive message field that we have in Workfront. And that's really that's the magic right there. We do have an error message set up. This is very specific to like this use case, but our banner messages can't go over 100 characters, and the field in Workfront has that limitation. But sometimes if someone's trying to, scoot the system, they do use acronyms to get to that 100 character limit. So when it runs through the proofreader and the proofreader tries to fill in the acronym with the full word, it causes an error with Fusion and with Workfront because it's over the 100 character limit. So if that happens, we send this message to the person that entered the request and ask them to revise their message following our brand standards and within the 100 character limit. And I will show you guys one that I ran as a test. So this one here, when we send in this 10K with a typo unavailable and an acronym, we can see what we sent in. So there's our prompt that got sent in. And then here's that text that came from our Workfront request. And then in all the click downs, here's what the AI came back with. So that's exactly what we're looking for. So it changed the 10K to $100,000. It fixed our typo in available, and then it changed the acronym QMIs to Quick Move in Homes. So that's exactly what we're looking for. And then that's what got sent back into Workfront. And we didn't have an error message. So that's a win.
Kaylee, just to pause you there, because I think we have a relevant question to answer now. What is OpenAI referencing to determine acronyms? And do you have a library of company terms OpenAI can reference?
Yeah, so OpenAI is just referencing the prompt that we're sending it every time. So it's referencing this prompt that we have here in the module. Let me make this bigger. So replace any acronyms in their full form. Quick Move in Home for QMI, Toll Brothers Mortgage Company for TBMC, and closing costs for CC. For this use case, those are the only acronyms that are really ever used. So for whatever instance you have, you could tack on more. I'll show you in my next example a way to kind of make like a longer list of variable to input into your prompt to make your prompt not so like insanely long. But that's where it's referencing the acronyms.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions for this one for now? Okay. I will switch over to this one. So this one's a little bit bigger, and it is, this one's our proof of concept, so we only have it in Sandbox. And I do want to mention, I think some of the questions that were sent in before this event asked, like, can we use other AI platforms like Claude or Copilot? The short answer is yes. The long answer is I can't tell you how because my company uses OpenAI. But in this one, you can see there is not an OpenAI module, and we're actually using these HTTP calls to send a custom API call. So I would assume that that's how you guys would need to do that for Copilot or Claude or Perplexity or whatever you're using. And I do also want to add another disclaimer because I know I said I'm not a developer and API feels like it's a very developy word. I will be completely transparent that I definitely leaned on ChatGPT to help me build some of these things and make an API call and figure out really what I'm supposed to do. And I encourage you guys, if you don't know how to do something, to use our AI tools that we have to your advantage to learn how to do something. So I know there's a lot of talk of like taking jobs or, you know, doing the work that you're already doing and having AI do that work for you. But I encourage you guys to think of like, well, what can AI do for you that you don't know how to do yet? And really push your limits and push AI's limits to see if you can expand your knowledge and figure out how to learn and do something new. So in this one is for our image tagging. So again, don't use AEM, and we don't have the Sitecore integration built out yet. So it's just a proof of concept, but it feels like this one might be more applicable to some other people. I know everyone has images at their company. So our watch module is just going to watch for new requests that are for our model photography, because those are the ones we want to tag keywords on. We're going to read the request, and then we're going to get the document. So the document's going to be uploaded to the request. And then we have to make the document public. So this was something tricky that we had to figure out how to do. So to get the image from Workfront and pass it to AI, we need to make that public link. So that's kind of what's going through here. We're getting the document, we're reading the document, and then this is just an API call to Workfront to get the public token of the image to create the public URL. And this is where we're setting our URL for that image. And then this is where the AI piece comes into play. So for the question earlier about where are your acronyms, where is it referencing the acronyms? I only had 3 acronyms in that instance, so it was kind of easy to just add it into the prompt. But you also could use a variable to set your prompt. You could use your variable. You could use a variable to set like your brand voice. If you want your brand voice to be included in your prompt every time, and you don't want like an insanely long prompt. For this example, I have my keyword list. So this is just a long list of keywords that are approved by our company that we tag in our DAM. So I just have it all listed out here. So it's not in the prompt. And then this is where we're making our API call to OpenAI. So again, leaned on AI to help me with the AI. But this is a way that you can also make use AI or any AI tool, not just OpenAI, without using those out-of-the-box modules. And the reason I had to do it in Fusion, even though OpenAI does have out-of-the-box modules, is because the out-of-the-box modules don't handle images. So in order to use the images, we had to use a different model and a different prompt that's not supported by the out-of-the-box modules, if that makes sense. So I'll expand this too. So here it's kind of a very similar setup. So we have like the system role and your content in here, and then the user role and what it's getting sent. So it's very similar to the one we just looked at. It's just not in the like pretty structured Fusion boxes. So here's our longer prompt, and you can see the keyword list here. So I'm not going to read this to you guys word for word. You can read it or pause on a recording. But essentially it's saying like, here are our photography for Toll Brothers. Here, there's all the pictures you're going to get sent. These are the words we want you to tag. So here is the list of approved keywords. Here's the keyword list. So it's referencing that list back there. Oops. And then we say follow these rules. So then we just list out different rules that we wanted to follow beyond just tagging word for word. And then in here, we are sending that image URL that we got when we read the public link. So then we're going to take that response. We're going to parse that response to just get the piece that we care about, just the list of keywords. We don't care about all the other text that comes back. And then we're going to take those keywords and add them to the request. So this is the piece that's just for my proof of concept. I just wanted them to go somewhere. But hopefully, maybe we'll talk again in a year and I'll have more expanded onto this, and it's actually going to be passed over to our DAM. So I can show you guys an example here as well. This is we just have a request in here. Nothing in the request is actually being referenced, just the image. And this is the image. So you guys kind of get an idea. It's a white kitchen, wood flooring. So it's going to run through in here. So it's going to send, it looks very similar to the other one. So it's going to send the prompt and it's going to send our image URL. So that's getting pulled from back here. And then we're going to get our output. Ooh, it's under data. So this is what we're parsing. We don't need all of this as the response. This is what we care about. So that's what it's tagging. Wood flooring, white cabinets, shaker cabinets, subway tile backsplash, under cabinet lighting, kitchen island, and marble countertop. And I think it did pretty good. So that's what's getting passed back then. Right now, it's just going into Workfront. But that's what we're hoping to get passed back into our DAM. So I will stop there. And I'm sorry, every time I go back to, it shares my screen 100 times, but.
Oh, that was really, really good, Kaylee. That was absolutely amazing. That was really good information. And I've not seen that particular example before. So really, really well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really exciting to build, and it's definitely something that your leadership will probably be impressed with if you're tying automation and AI together. And it wasn't super, super difficult. Again, not a developer, kind of don't really exactly know 100% what an API call is, but I figured out how to make one.
I love that you showed the behind the scenes too. Yeah. I think it's interesting to actually see, okay, here's what I did in the Fusion scenario modules. Just so other people can replicate it. We've had a couple questions come in through the chat, and the first one that we haven't answered yet, and if you don't know the answer to this one, it's okay, but how to integrate OpenAI APIs securely in Fusion.
I don't know exactly if we're doing it securely. I know that when you first set up OpenAI, when you do the green, if you're setting it up via the green module, you add your API key, and then there's usually a secret key that you add, and then the secret keys can never be referenced again. You can never see it again. And I think that's the secure way to set up the API if you're using the out of the box module. In terms of just the HTTP calls, I don't know. And that's where I'm here as not a developer. Maybe I'm not being secure and safe, but I do have a developer that approved it all. So.
And if anyone else in the chat has a comment on that, then please feel free to add that in as well. So.
And then this next question's more so to the group, but Jenny wants to know if anyone has connected Fusion to Copilot Studio. I'll take that as a no, but if we find the answer to that, Jenny, we will follow up with you.
I can say I've never connected it to Copilot, but I have made multiple connections to Writer.ai if anyone is using Writer.ai.
Any follow-up questions there?
Was that with the HTTP call like she just showed?
Was that question to me?
Yes.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Autumn and Jenny. Any other questions? We can just go free form here since we've gotten through the chat.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's no questions specifically for me, I mean, you can open up the conversation to the group of what is everyone doing with AI and Workfront and Fusion.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you had shown the it was a good session on the Workfront integration. I mean, Workfront Fusion integration with the OpenAI. How secure it is? Secure in the sense like we are connecting two systems. One is the Fusion and another is OpenAI. Like how secure is those two connections actually, so that it is not intercepted by some other service or hacked or like whatever it is?
The best answer I can give to that is I guess we just trust the modules that Fusion gives us. I think it's with any connection you're building within Fusion and you're just setting up with their modules, you're hoping it's a secure connection. I know for us, like we have an OpenAI business account, so our OpenAI account is more secure in that sense. So I guess, and then you just cross your fingers and hope for the best.
So why I'm asking is these two things are two different clouds, right? Cloud environment. It's not within your network actually. So typically, if you are integrating such system, right? Typically you'll use MTLS or some kind of security implementation so that both system are not intercepted by some other. I mean, third party or getting hacked by some other systems. I mean, so did you do any kind of such MTLS type of connection, or it's a plain you trust both the system and then you did the integration part?
Monique,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Kaylee.
Sorry, we didn't set up anything different. I guess Monique sent a message that she tries to handle the Fusion connections with the security of the individual platforms themselves. And I would say that that's how we lean as well. So we're putting the trust that we have within Workfront Fusion and then the trust that we have with OpenAI.
I can also include, there is an encryption module available if you do need to use something like that. I've not personally used it with an AI assistant module, but we have used it especially when we're sending assets through like AEM assets, things like that. So if you would need to find some sort of workaround with an extra encryption level, that is available. But as Monique and Kaylee said, most of these systems, even though you're using an HTTP call, you can make a client secret and ID. So there are things that are more technical to make it more secure.
Thank you both.
Any other questions, or anybody want to share how they're using AI in their workflows? It's like that moment where it's crickets, but you're not sure if someone's going to ask a question.
Yeah. I can add another thing. It's not really Fusion, but it is AI. So we actually have a AI app that we built that connects to Workfront. And that's been something that's really cool. So we built like a homegrown app. So I partnered with one of our developers, and it's based on, it uses Claude with AWS. But in that, we have a user-facing app where our salespeople can go in and enter information about a home. And then they just hit send to AI, and it generates bullet points of that home. And then they click send to Workfront, and it sends it over. It starts their Workfront request, and it inputs their bullet points. It inputs the specs they've already entered. And it basically fills out the form like 75% of the way. And then they just go right over to Workfront, finish it, and send it off. And that saves us like 10 minutes per one of those requests. And we launched it in August, and I think it saved us about like 88 hours so far. So there's other ways to use AI without Fusion. And like, I think that's the world we're all moving into, is like, how do we make everything seamlessly go together? So it's not like you have an open ChatGPT window and then you're coming and you're pasting it somewhere and then you're pasting it somewhere else. How can we make it all seamlessly work together?
Yeah, so you mentioned about time savings there, and that's quite valuable, right? So so you mentioned 88 hours. Was that just for the tagging part?
Yeah, so that was just for this app that we made. The tagging stuff hasn't launched yet, so that will save a lot of time when it does.
Will, yeah, especially if it's done manually now. And can you imagine it's just looking at a picture and doing it? Yeah.
The first one I showed, it used to take 5 hours per event, and now it takes 10 minutes. And our events are sporadic; they're not always consistent, but we probably do at least one a month. But I mean, just between AI, automation, and just process improvement, at my company this year, we saved like close to 1,600 hours across like 32 different processes and automations. So outside of AI, really lean into Fusion. If you have it, like push its limits, even the smallest things that you just are tweaking. If it's something that's being done very repetitive, my company has a lot of high volume requests and high volume tasks. That time savings of 1 minute per task or 1 minute per request, it multiplies like crazy. So never underestimate a minute.
I saw another Adobe champion, Workfront champion, actually do a presentation just the other day, and we can probably dig out that link as well, because it actually talks about how you can actually calculate the time saving and do the configuration in Workfront, and then actually get your Fusion scenarios and then say, okay, well, the Fusion scenario has been running this many times, so this many hours has been saved for us doing these works, like bits of work in Workfront. So absolutely. Yeah, Kimberly Ray, that was me. Yes, it was. And I really loved your session. And you know, that all of that content there is really interesting. So yeah, get on those metrics. You can't get off mute. We can take you off mute, Kimberly. Let's have a look. It's our first time using this tool, so bear with.
I want to share. Somebody asked about, I think it is Natalia Shanks. I mean, we are using Azure DevOps integration with Workfront Fusion.
Are you able to share at all what that connection is?
You're a little low to hear. I think it was Natalie.
Yeah, sorry. I can.
It might have been. Can you share more about your experience there?
Yeah. We're looking into it. Very high level, like fields that kind of like mirror both sides, just to have this ability from Azure and OpenAI. So just curious if you're able to share anything about what your scenario is, if it was simple, complex, anything would be nice.
Was it Prasanna? Was that who said they're utilizing DevOps?
No, we are using Azure DevOps and Workfront integration, and we are extensively using within our organization.
Got it. Okay. Any highlights there from your experience?
The thing is, like, the turnaround time is, I mean, all this automation tool, the turnaround time is a key aspect with this automation, and because manually creating projects and ADO items was cumbersome for users, but with this automation, I think a complete feature, PBIs, product backlog items, and other epics can be automated and within no time, and then the data can be synced between Workfront and ADO. So how we are utilizing this integration is, we have a marketing team. They use Workfront for their project management and campaign management and everything. And there might be a certain set of other users who might be utilizing ADO for managing the task and subtask. So this they were doing this thing manually, like creating items in Workfront, and then somebody has to manually look into each of this both the platforms. But with this automation, the turnaround time is very quick, and syncing between these two systems is good, actually. Like it definitely improved the business process for the marketing team within our organization.
Awesome. Thank you. I think there was another question too, and I think Autumn might have said she's done it in the past, but Alistair's wondering if anyone has experience with connecting with Writer AI.
Yep.
And maybe can speak to that.
Yeah. So let me see if I can pull something very, very small up. I don't know if I can share my screen or not. Let me get there where I can share things. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
We can.
I'm sorry, I can put myself on camera just give me a second to put a sweatshirt on. Okay, so was not planning to do this yet, but that's all right. So this is just a really quick one I put together for a small demo. So essentially what we're using is a custom webhook calling Adobe. And excuse me, not calling Adobe, calling Writer using just a webhook. So you can look here. So you can't see it, but I added it into the structure, and then I've got a structure here that I was going to showcase of the things that I'm trying to pull through. So this, for example, is Writer AI is trying to write a product description and a few other items, and we want to pull those in and put them into a custom form into Workfront, and the call is coming from there. So that's the start of it here. Then we're searching for the project that's going to be related to. So there's going to be something in here that triggers it to search for the project specifically. In this instance, I'm searching for a very specific name of something, and then I'm searching for a task that I want to attach these fields to, just using a router so it doesn't run through multiple times. And I do not need a task does not exist filter. We did have that on there. So make sure we're not repeating the same request over and over again. And then simply what we're doing is creating a record of what this information is and coming from and adding it onto a custom form. So that's just one very, very small example that I can give you of a demo that we did for a client. But there's a lot more different use cases that we can see. This is one single direction as well, where a lot of these Fusion scenarios that we make need to be bidirectional. So then another one, I can't actually show you the rest of this one, but it calls back to Writer and says that we are going to take the information and approve it and push it into Writer as well. So if something is approved or something is pushed through. So a lot of these, you want to remember that each direction, each one is a certain direction, and having two or more for each scenario if you want it bidirectional. Does that help?
I don't think
OpenAI and Writer for the first one.
I think Alistair was both contacting both Victoria and I to talk about it, but I don't think he's off.
He wrote back in chat, yes. So
thank you, Autumn. Yes. Thank you, Autumn, for doing that.
Any other questions or thoughts? All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. We are going to be sending out another session for our office hours for January. It'll probably be middle of January, and we're going to be targeting the project managers and best practices. More information to come, though, in the next couple of days. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Kaylee and Autumn, for presenting. We'll catch you back here in January. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
See you next month. Bye-bye.